Hi,
Hello,
I'm Julian.
and I'm Tom.
We are Team Binge, and we are back, and we are excited to talk about The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 1. We took some time to travel to Jackson, Wyoming in the snow. Horses are a pain not only to ride, but take care of, and so it's taken us a couple of weeks to get here, but we're now here for an episode called Future Days. We are talking about this show simply because we talked about season one, and Tom loves the show because he loves the video game. So he will be our cat, our patrol leader, who I will listen to him because he is my patrol leader as we talk about The Last of Us season 2, episode 1. Tom, I know this has been like Christmas, and you're a young boy who still believes in Santa, waiting for this to return. And so, was this a present under your tree, Tom? Have you been excited to unwrap it?
I have been. I very much, like we talked about in season one, they were so true to the games, which were incredible. So seeing this next season kind of pick up where we left off, and it picks up right where we left off, at least to kind of start. And then we have this big 5-year jump. But the second game, like we've talked about, I think a little bit, it's a huge and massive game. I'm actually going back and kind of replaying through the story now. And I looked at my save file and it was like, I'm not proud to admit, maybe a 27-hour playthrough the first time I played this game.
Nice.
So it's a lot. There's a lot of story. I want to say one thing kind of up top here is this season is short of television here. This is only going to be 7 episodes. So I think it's important for kind of viewers kind of going into this knowing that we're probably not going to get, I think, the full story. And I would imagine it's going to be maybe a little bit dissatisfying because we might get a massive cliffhanger because there's so much content, only getting 7 episodes where we got 9 last year. I'm hoping that they come out with the season 3 quickly because it already has been picked up for season 3, which is unsurprising. But I'm excited for the show to be back. I would argue this episode was a little bit slow. We're kind of just gearing back in and settling back up the characters, see where they've kind of left off after 5 years. A lot of questions to be asked, but I still love the show. I love the acting, the look, feel. It's great television.
Sure. I enjoyed season 1. I am interested in season 2, having not played the video game. I'm assuming everyone lives long, fruitful lives, and that Ellie and Joel are fast son and surrogate daughter or adoptive daughter, and that everyone lives a long life and has a great time. And maybe they befriend the zombies. Are we calling them zombies? Are we calling them infected? I'm not going to know the difference between like clicker and crawler and
I'll help you. I'll help you with
rider and screecher and gyrator. I don't even want to tell you what the gyrating one does. But yeah, so much like other things, I'm sure they all have cool nicknames, which I'm not going to use. But it took me about 15 minutes into the show. I was like, wait, they're not zombies. They're called something else.
Well, like, yeah, the clickers are like the ones with like the exploded heads that can just hear and like sense where you are and just blindly run at stuff. So they're the big kind of showcase in season 1. But as zombies, like we call them the infected. That's fine.
Okay, the infected. Got it. Tom, and I'm going to stop you if you try to explain what any of them mean, other than the gyrators. When we get to the gyrators, by all means, the floor is yours, and you can explain to me what's going on.
I love that mission, by the way. It was fun.
That mission. That one had its own warning scene. It was like, this game is rated mature for gyrating. And you're like, what? This is a weird warning mid-game. Anyways, I have not played the game, as everyone who is currently screaming at their radio will know. But Tom and I are going to go through this episode and just talk about what we liked and what we didn't like. And we approach TV in a way that we appreciate all of the effort that goes into it. But having spent, I don't know, roughly between the two of us, 400 years watching TV, we have some gripes and complaints and some TV-isms that we're going to talk through. But Tom, I thought you mentioned that you felt like this opener was slow. I don't know that I felt like it was slow. I just find with shows like this, the stuff I enjoy the most is when a character falls through a roof and is alone and it turns into like a horror movie, which we'll talk on. I have a ton of questions just about this civilization that we've built in Jackson, Wyoming, and why Jackson, Wyoming, other than it being lovely, and I'm sure there's a ton of horses. I have some questions as to why we chose there instead of someplace where people naturally live, like Phoenix, Arizona, when it's 120 degrees and you have no power. But the thing that I enjoyed this show doing is it gave us the quick stakes in the beginning. And it's like pretty simple. Joel and Ellie are together. Joel's job has been to escort Ellie. We find out that Ellie is immune. And then they remind us that there was an opportunity for Ellie to provide a cure with the Fireflies. But oh no, Joel got a gun and decided to go Rambo on everyone. And then it's like he lied to Ellie. Boom, we're in season 2. That's really all you need to know. And the lie has stuck. Although I would argue Ellie doesn't necessarily believe it, right?
Well, and that's so like them coming back and like showing this big cliffhanger of Joel saying the lie, Ellie saying she believes it, but like the acting here is just so great because you just don't really know, like, does she really believe it? Like in her heart, she might say that just to kind of spare Joel, but you don't really know what is in her mind. And I like how they re-showed it because it is such a pivotal moment and a pivotal lie that I think essentially puts us on our path or where we are today. So even though it's been 5 years, like what have been the consequences? What's been going on over the past 5 years to essentially kind of lead them astray here and why they're not, seemingly the same relationship they had when they parted.
Sure. I would argue letting a lie fester for 5 years is not great. As someone who's never been to therapy, because therapy, biblically, we're not allowed to, I would argue that letting that lie fester is probably what's bringing on this father-daughter riff, which is not hard to see. But before we do the 5-year jump, Tom, I want to mention 2 things. This show opens with CGI giraffes. I have a strong stance against CGI animals in all way, shapes, and form. I do not understand it. That dumb show Joe Pickett about the game warden did this with elk. Even a movie that I love to death, No Country for Old Men, they're CGI'd like not giraffe, but stupid deer-looking things. I'm blanking on the name. It just takes me out of it. I don't understand. They're like, listen, we need to blow $70 million. And they're like, all right, let's CGI some giraffes. Now I know I'm going to get emails that are like, oh, they were real giraffes. I don't believe you. They look like CGI giraffes. Stop bringing in CGI animals.
There's something about the shows that we do just warrant CGI animals. Like it happened in Bad Monkey. It happened in A Murder at the End of the World. It happened in True Detective Season 4. Like we just find shows with CGI animals.
What does it say about us, Tom? What does it say about us that we can't find real animals in real life, but we can find CGI animals in all of the shows that we love? I'm pretty sure that dog that gets killed by soccer ball in Ted Lasso was the CGI dog. Well, at least during the dying part, maybe not during the rest of it.
But I'm with you. The CGI animals can be a lot.
You
but
love
like
them.
this is I liked the call they did here because this whole scene where we get introduced to Abby and the kind of surviving Fireflies here is just reminiscent of when Ellie and Joel kind of ran into the giraffes and how like beautiful of a scene it was. But then now like Abby seeing these giraffes, so we know kind of where we are in the world and at what time, how they have a completely different like meaning for her. It's kind of wild.
Based on the bloodlust of Ellie, I'm surprised any of those giraffes survived. I'm surprised she didn't. She loves a knife to the neck, and those giraffes are nothing but neck. So I'm blown away they lived. You mentioned Abby. I know she's probably a critical character in the video game, and you're going to explain to me how critical. I just want to give a shout out to, I believe it's Kathleen Dever, who plays her. She was close to my heart. She played Loretta in Justified, which is a great show. And I'm excited. We don't get much of her in this opener, but I'm excited. And I hope, and I'm assuming, Tom, she develops into a big part of the storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think it's Caitlin Dever. I could be wrong. I think you said Kathleen or Kathleen.
Yeah. Well, those of us that are close to it call her, Big K Dever.
But yeah, credible actress. I think she wasn't in like the Last of Us video game series, but she did do some other video games that Naughty Dog, the company that did The Last of Us, did, like in the Uncharted series. So she already kind of had a in with Neil Druckmann, the guy that kind of created this universe. So different introduction into this show than in the game, because in the game you actually kind of play as multiple characters. You play as Ellie, you play as Joel, and you play as Abby. So you kind of get her story a little bit differently. You don't really find out what her motivation is or what her kind of connection is to the story. But we find out very quickly that these are surviving people, like essentially maybe the only surviving Fireflies after Joel did his rampage. And she clearly is just thirsts for revenge and has that like just really brutal line of like, when we find him, we kill him, and we kill him slowly. Like very, very brutal, and separates her character from the rest of her group, right? The rest of the group are like, hey, let's kind of regroup. We heard there's other groups we can kind of join, but she just is only after revenge here.
Yeah, it feels like the rest of the group is like, hey, we got keychains to sell. We're all holding them, and we're all wearing them around our necks. I want to know in the apocalypse who's making those, like, really well done Firefly keychains. Also, I have some question about why everyone's clothing looks so good. Like, is the same tailor in this world the same tailor that tailored the bear for Alec Baldwin in The Edge? Because that's important for me to know. Very smart, tapered bearskin suit that guy's wearing. Anyways, yeah, I'm interested to see. We see him at the beginning, and then we see him at the end. So I'm sure the Fireflies are coming for our boy Joel. The 5-year jump leads to a jump, kick, strike, AABB fight between Ellie and a gentleman who is conservatively 6 feet taller than her. And we just see her ferocity. So, okay, 5-year jump. So she was 14 in the first one, and she's 19 in this one. Is that
correct?
Is my math correct, Tom?
You nailed it, buddy.
Okay, she looks like she's gotten younger. I just want to point that out. Like, I've got no issues with the actress that plays Ellie, but I have a tough time not being like, that's a child fighting a giant. What are we doing here? But it is just like, this is how ferocious Ellie is. She wants to hurt people, and she wants people to know that Joel is not her, like, bodyguard and savior. She can take care of herself.
Yeah, when the whole line is like, hey, don't pull the punches. And it's like when Jesse, the other guy's kind of with her in the barn here, he kind of says that. He's like, hey, I don't want to take any guff from Joel. Like, that's when she kind of like says like, hey, like, enough's enough here. Like, I'm not doing this because of Joel. You should be taking me easy because of that relationship. But then it also, again, continues to explore her like thirst or love for violence here, right? Like we saw it in the first season where she like had like trapped infected and then kind of like stabbed it in the face. Like now we're seeing her like tap, like the guy's clearly tapping out, yet she is just zoning out and in some other world as she's committing this violence. Like she has an affinity for it. It's a part of her.
Sure. I'm interested to know what part of, like, was this training? It's like, all right, the three of us are going into the barn and you're going to beat this guy up that's in your same weight class. And she's like, same weight class. And they're like, just shut up and let him punch you in the face. Tom, I think the most insulting thing, and I would encourage you next time you witness a bar fight, is to walk over to the loser and be like, he was pulling his punches. Good day, sir. And then walk out just to let that person know that they got their nose broke to a pulled punch. This leads us to our western town. Tom, once again, I think the apocalypse is a little bit dirtier than this, but these guys seem to be, despite the fact that they're taking in all of these illegals and immigrants, Tom, which was a strong message. Which was a strong message in this episode. They're like, we should take them in. And Joel's like, we shouldn't take them in. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess there's some politics even in this small town.
Oh, goodness.
Anyways, okay, Dina. Do you get to play as Dina during the game? And this is Dina talking to Joel. We get a little electricity. I didn't know this about breakers, Tom. Did you learn something about electric breakers and why they trip in your house?
It was pretty fun. I felt like, yeah, Breaker 101, getting us these detail. They kind of like in the game, they hint at Joel and Dina's relationship, but we don't get any like one-on-one interactions with them. It's more like Dina and Ellie when they're kind of together. So this is kind of a nice add to the show and kind of showing like even Joel's response. I think when Dina enters the room, he calls Dina kiddo, which is obviously what he's been calling Ellie forever in the first season. So they clearly have a close relationship here. And like they're both wanting Joel and Ellie to repair their relationship, and they're kind of doing what they can to help each other out.
Sure. We learn about electricity. We learn that Joel's in therapy, which they make fun of him for, which is great. Everyone should do that. That's probably normal. We learn that there's like some father-daughter stuff. I don't know who plays Dina. She's doing a great job. I feel like she's in a rom-com and everyone else is in like a zombie survivor movie.
Right.
She's like flirting with Joel. She's flirting with Ellie. She's getting drunk at the dance. She's like joking during the zombie fight. I'm like, you, ma'am, are in the wrong like situation. Everyone's gonna die. Please take this serious. I don't know. I like her as a character. Forgive me. Is she like... Is she... Do you interact with her? Like, does she go on missions with you? Like... How much of, and maybe you can't tell me because it reveals too much, but
yeah, I mean, she's a big character, and I think we see in this first episode of like the close relationship that she has with Ellie, and I think we'll likely see that kind of continue to blossom and bloom here.
Yeah, too close at that dance, leave room for the Holy Spirit, as that guy likes him to.
Goodness.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on one, Tom. This episode touched me in a weird place. Also,
Okay.
We're recording at night again, so I can drink. Thank goodness.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Tom, talk to me about the hobby of just going to a snowy knoll and executing presidents by shooting them at long distances. Is this draining? Is this let's blow off some steam? Is this let's just get Ellie and Tommy together so they can talk? What was this?
Yeah, this scene, well, they kind of play it here in the show as like happening in real time. This is actually kind of a flashback. They do a handful of flashbacks in the game, so you kind of find out and fill in some of the spots of what happened through the 5 years. So I'm assuming we'll get kind of some of that. But the general idea is like they have these groups that are going to go out and kind of clear the surrounding areas, right? So they have to just try to keep the infected at bay. So yeah, like the game makes it essentially a fun sniping mission in the game, right? You just get to be able to shoot zombies with no consequence from really far away. So it's kind of paid homage to that, and it obviously got Ellie and Tommy together to have some good rapport and back and forth.
Sure. See, Tom is a deep-rooted pacifist, like deep-rooted as in infected. Have we tried to extend a branch to the infected at all? Or are we just randomly shooting them in the face as maybe these infected are good infected and they're just trying to walk up the ski slope in order to maybe cut some moguls or whatever? I don't know. Is that what they're called? The little hill things that you fall on?
That would have been great if that one infected had a snowboard attached to his back.
It's pizzaing, it's french frying, it's pizzaing, it's having a bad time. I don't know. There is a moment, Tom, serious question. We're, I don't know, what seems like 4 hours into the podcast, and I'd like to ask you something serious.
Go.
Are we supposed to like Ellie?
I mean, it's a fair question. I think this whole entire show is always kind of like changing the perspective, and like just because we're following Ellie and Joel, are they really the heroes of the story? Like, I think that's an interesting question to be able to kind of ask you when you think about what they've done to people and to others, because Ellie is a troubled individual.
Sure, troubled, annoying, sure. When she starts shouting and Tommy's like, hey bro, like, we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, can you stop shouting? And she's like, I'm immune. And he's like, oh, also Joel loves you and like is trying to protect you. She's like, I don't need protection, I'm immune. I was like, I don't know, Tommy, maybe we put one on her knee and just leave her on that snowy hill.
Listen,
but I'm
you
a
don't have a
pacifist,
19.
Tom, so I want to extend the olive branch first and then put one in her knee. Actually, as a pacifist, I think you can still shoot someone in a kneecap because it's not super permanent. They'll grow back a kneecap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
And also, not only is Joel trying to protect Ellie, he's also trying to protect this lovely little town because he's now infrastructure guy. He was a contractor before the apocalypse, right?
I think so. He's kind of like a jack of all trades, but it's interesting to see him like taking up a role of like a pillar of the community, right? As opposed to just kind of being all for himself. He's really here trying to help prop this town up.
Well, he knows about water mains and what happens when roots get in water mains and what happens when those water mains are made of clay as opposed to some sort of metal. How old is that water main? Are clay water mains still a thing? I've got questions. I've got questions about what the taxpayers paid and what whoever installed them actually did and whether or not the taxpayers got screwed, Tom. That's what I want to talk about.
Important
also,
stuff.
Immigration and some other things. Oh, man. We're going to get ourselves one of those E ratings just for talking about the stuff that everyone should be talking about. E for everyone.
Everybody. Yeah.
All right. So he's having this conversation, and forgive me, I do not remember the mayor's name. She's from True Blood. She's great. But they are having this conversation where she's like, we need to build faster. We have too many people. And he's like, we need to let less people in. And then he makes some joke about some sort of construction dial. It was all fun.
Yeah, it was a good little back and forth. But yeah, this is Maria. This is Tommy's wife. And we find out they have a 5-year-old son because I think she was pregnant in the last season. So it's interesting to see Uncle Joel here do his thing.
Sure. And this all feels like the show being like, hey, do you want to love these characters? Look at this adorable little kid and how good he gets along with Joel. And Tommy and his wife are happy. Guess who we're gonna kill in a couple of episodes? All of them. And you're like, all right, show. Dial it back. The kid's fake shooting Joel, and you're like, oh man, he's so cute. Even though as a pacifist, I'm like, that kid should be sending kisses, not bullets, Tom. We'd be a much better world if we sent kisses or bullet kisses, as I like to call them. Tom, let's go to therapy. Let's go to there. Did you know that Catherine O'Hara was going to be in this episode, or was this a complete surprise? This is very stunt casting of the show because she wasn't in season 1, right?
No, and she's not a character this therapist character is not in the games either. But I did know because I read the casting calls or whatever for the show, and so excited to see her on. I think even Craig Mazin, the guy that's the showrunner for the show, he made a similar line to I think whoever the showrunner was for Breaking Bad. The concept of comedic actors are just so great at drama.
Yeah.
It's just, and Catherine O'Hara is absolutely incredible in this small scene that she gets here.
Yeah, my only regret is she wasn't the same person from Schitt's Creek. It would have been great if she had just played Moira. So your therapist brings out a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses and gets paid in weed. You're on the right track. If this is your therapist. I wonder if therapists in the real world were watch this show and man, I've been missing out. I should be 3 in when the patient shows up, share some with the patient, and get paid in weed. I'm sure the licensing board frowns on all of this, but I'm not a therapist. I thought this was wonderful. Honestly, it just seemed like they had Catherine O'Hara, and they're like, let's let her cook. And boy, did she cook.
Well, and this little bit too of Eugene, what we get here to find out that's her husband. He actually is in the game, but
not for long. Sounds like Joel put one in him. Gave him one of those bullet kisses.
They've actually casted Eugene, so we may actually get, because there's a lot of how did he die? Was he infected? How he killed him? So I'm assuming we're going to get maybe a little bit of backstory there. But the idea of her getting paid in weed and saying oh, Eugene would be able to grow this weed, no problem. In the game, Ellie and Dina come across this dude's stash and hideout where he's growing all the weed. So it's kind of a fun little nod.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. I'm assuming 4 years ago, Joel was showing Eugene how an electric breaker worked, and he was wrong about it, and Eugene died from electricity. And then that's why every time he meets someone, he tries to explain how a breaker works the right way, because he's haunted by the vision of Eugene, I don't know, getting shocked to death.
Yep, that's his haunted past.
Yes, that's Joel's only haunted past, is the accidental electrocution of Eugene. Okay, this whole conversation, which I thought was interesting, she's like pointing out, Joel, you're not telling me the truth. I'm not telling you the truth. I mean, give her daytime Emmy. She did a great job. It was wonderful. I guess, so in the game, this is not a plot point, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it could have been. This would have been a great part of the game where you have to like answer as Joel, like hit X to say this.
Sit in therapy for an hour. And then PlayStation sends you a bill. They're like, you were in therapy in our game for an hour. You owe us $75. And
How
you're
long was
like,
that,
well, the
50
scene
minutes?
was only
We'll
50
just round it
minutes. Tom, there we were. There we were.
That's so when he's rewatching Arrested Development. Yeah.
Oh, man. What are you writing? Nothing. All right. So I don't know what this has to do with the show or in terms of long term, other than like what I did not appreciate about this episode is it was like, hey, for 5 years it's been festering. He's been lying to her. She knows. She's like lashing out. And they just like kept hitting us in the face with it. Like they kept pushing us onto the dance floor rudely. In the same way Joel does to that guy that uses some bigoted language later in the episode. But I don't know. Like, we know the secret. Like, we know what he's dealing with. Unless there's a secret the show hasn't shown us. But I'm pretty sure it's him murdering all the Fireflies in order to save her. Tom, if I saved you from a medical experiment and I had to murder roughly 30 people, eventually I would tell you. If you were like being mean to me, like you wouldn't play, I don't know, what's that stupid board game you like to play where you trade sheep for wood? Like
Settlers of Catan.
If I kept being like, Tom, let's play Settlers of Catan, and you're like, no, I don't like playing Settlers of Catan with you. After 5 years, eventually I'd be like, okay, Tom, I murdered 30 dudes because they were going to sacrifice you in order to cure the world, and I didn't want that to happen because I had a daughter that died and you reminded me of her. Can we just play Settlers of Catan? I feel like, I don't know. I just felt like this episode was like, they're not getting along. This is why they're not getting along. And I got it, show, I guess is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, and I think it's just a little additional showing, not telling in terms of these storylines, I think kind of paralleling what we'll get in this season, because we've already kind of seen it with Abby kind of seeking revenge for Joel. And now, Gail here in this therapy session is kind of saying, like, you can't heal something unless you're brave enough to say it out loud. So here Gail is kind of saying, like, she's willing to forgive Joel for killing her husband. And can Joel, or like maybe even Abby, like, can she do the same thing? So I think it's just kind of like giving us some extra ammunition for kind of the plot lines of revenge we're going to get in this season. Sure.
Tom, there's a good book that says the truth will set you free. So I just want to point that out. It was written and read years ago. I do want to say that if someone ever accuses you of hurting a child, the moment to go silent and not answer is not that moment. She's like, Did you do something to her? And he's just like staring at her and he's doing his face quiver and he's like all emotional and he's doing a great job as Joel. I've got some questions about the accent, but love him as an actor. That's not the time to stay silent. You definitely want to be like, no, I did not like hurt her. I did not do anything untoward. You got to say those things out loud because people start to assume, So
listen, I would argue he said it with his eyes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that what you told the judge? You were like, Judge, I said it with my eyes. And they're like, sir, did you murder or not murder that cat? And you're like, I said it with my eyes. I'm not going to say it again. All right. He ends this conversation with, I saved her. And he storms out. And I'm assuming Catherine O'Hara then went and just smoked all of that weed and had a lovely birthday. No, wedding and no, it was her birthday that she spent for the first time. 41 years. That's, I don't know. How old is Catherine O'Hara? She must have gotten married young. 41 years married, and this is her first birthday. Anyways, let's not go into it. How great would it be if Eugene Levy showed up and was like, hey, I'm Eugene. Oh, he's Eugene. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, we nailed it. It's a Schitt's Creek, The Last of Us, a crossover episode. Incredible. All right, Tom, let's go on patrol together.
Please.
I'm not going to say anything about this other than why are we letting children go on patrol, and will these children take it a little bit more serious? This is one of those moments where I was like, Ellie, I gotcha, but for the 3 other people on patrol that seem to be humorless, let's maybe like tone it down. You and the Ellie and Dina show, let's tone it down. I don't know. It was fun, but as someone who loves patrols, you know, I felt like they weren't taking it serious.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, they're definitely the younger, and they're kind of playing their part as like younger, smart Alex in these situations here. But you can argue there's obviously plenty of other jobs that Ellie can be doing, but this is what she wants to do because I think she, you know, enjoys this violence and everything that she's doing. And I think as we kind of see Ellie and Dina kind of work together in these upcoming scenes, like it kind of shows. I like the relationship, I guess, that they have, right? Where Dina's more kind of calculated and more smart, whereas Ellie is just like kind of gung-ho, not always thinking things through. It's a great little pairing.
Yeah, she's reckless because she thinks she's immune, or she knows she's immune, which I'm sure is going to bite us in the rear end as we go in this direction. The tummy, sure. Oh, Tom, look at you. Good job. As one does while you're on horseback on patrol, you talk about who you're dating and who you're not dating. And I believe Jesse is the gentleman that sent them on the patrol. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So he's like in some form or fashion leader in the kind of compound, but they had an on and off again relationship.
Real Jack and Diane, as they like to say. And Dina and Ellie are the same age, because Ellie makes some comment to Jesse like, you're only 4 years older than us. So I'm taking that they're about the same age. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay. And they met one day when Dina was carrying a garbage bag with 9 baguettes and a stick of celery in it, and they bumped into each other, and she helped her collect all of the groceries. I'm assuming that was the meet cute that started this rom-com that Dina's in, that leads to them being on this patrol, which leads to the gyrators killing a bear. A group of gyrators gyrated that bear to death. And then Ellie, this drove me crazy. It's like, all Kat has to do is like, she watches over them because they're children. When they come back, and I know they go to like a tribunal, Kat should just be like, hey, don't send her out on any patrols. She did not listen to me. She like ran into the grocery store, put her on the gate. Like, let us have some accountability here. But before we have accountability, the 2 accountability buddies go in with knives ablazing. I'm assuming, Tom, this was a stealth mission in the game. This had all the feeling of a stealth mission in the game.
So many of these little bits are just like nods to specifically the gamers of the audience here, where like you pick up a bottle and she throws the bottle to be able to get their attention. That's obviously a gameism. Even like the little thing they do, which is very fun that they added it in, of like seeing the dog as the employee of the month. Like that's actually like a little thing you can see to be able to unlock a safe that has like extra ammo and like bonus stuff for you.
Nice.
Where you kind of like put the dog's like month that he won the award. So it's got a fun little extra bits. But yeah, again, I just kind of liked this because it just showed the differences between these 2 characters, and also kind of how our characters now, 5 years later, deal with infected, right? Like when they first ran into clickers and how like harrowing it was to be able to like get up close to them or battle them. Now they're just running at them with a bottle and a knife and taking them out no problem.
Sure. And there's nothing like more fun in a show than showing 2 competent people that have been like partners and know how to work together. There's like a unspoken, and they do it through pantomime in this, where it's like, you know that Ellie and Dina have dealt with this before, and it is kind of cool. And they're almost like too relaxed. So from an audience perspective, who's watching like a horror show, you're like, no, like stop miming that you're going to stab him in the neck. But then you see him in action, and it, for the most part, goes right, like through the hallways. And so it is fun to see them in like the shorthand of these 2 work well together, which is fun. Yeah. Up until she falls through the floor. And this is when I was like, oh, no. I will say, she's like, all the doors are padlocked. I can't get out. I was like, ma'am, you go and shoot that padlock. There is daylight on the other side. Please get out of the scariest place we've seen in this show so far. But instead she wanders around, and I had my hands over my eyes. I was peeking through my fingers while trying to take notes because I was just waiting for the jump scare. And I think you and I are on record because we talked about The Ring at one point. But when they have the little creepy thing like crawl in the background and you just like, I don't care for that, Tom. I don't. Life enough is scary. The economy, the stock market. Who's at the helm right now? All of it's scary enough. I don't need scary people walking through. So yeah, this was creepy.
Yeah, and like, so this is the first meet. I don't think we got them in the first season. I think this is new, right? The stalkers, because they make mention of them being like smarter. But man, like, cool introduction in the show here. But are these guys just the most terrifying thing in a game? Because just like you said, how you're watching this like through your fingers. Think about like playing this in a video game where you're in like a house.
I will not.
And these guys just like in the video game, they're like essentially told to, or like they're generated to run at you, slash you once, and then just run in and find a corner. So like you're just constantly trying to figure out where the heck these things are. It is terrifying.
Yeah, I did not like this. I did not like that they gave us the big blue eyes of the stalker or the crawly girl from The Ring that is going after Ellie. This all leads to reckless Ellie being bit. And Tom, explained to me, and I was trying to remember. So infected through a bite, obviously kind of a zombie thing. This one has like the roots or the fungi come out of its nose at one point, almost either like it's smelling or it's putting out something into the air. And then when Ellie is bit, you see like the spores on her. And I wasn't sure, can they lay dormant in Ellie? Or is Ellie just completely immune?
So they didn't have this in season 1. I think they're going to introduce it here in season 2, like the concept of spores, where they go into certain areas that have been and housed like infected for a long time, where you got to like wear a gas mask to go in certain places. So
Sure.
in the addition to the show and the video games of like the spores actively coming out of her nose or through like other orifices, I think we saw in season 1. I think it was just kind of a showism ad, which I think is just super cool, menacing, and just adds more to the fungi disease or whatever it is here that is infecting everybody.
Sure. So when they find out about the spores, do like half the town is like, we should all wear masks, and the other half of the town is like, we don't need to wear masks, that's dumb, the government made it up. And then the people are like, no, it's real. And then they're like, oh, we've got this shot that will solve the spores. And is that kind of what happens later in the
I think
game?
so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a fun time to live through.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Let's go to the after action, which I appreciate they save her, and then it's like cut to, oh no, mommy and daddy are mad at us. We're sitting in these chairs. They're both slouched down. I love that like Ellie tells a story and Dina just backs her up I love that dynamic. But I did think it was funny that everyone was like, what were the two of you doing?
Yeah.
And this was, I like an after action, Tom. I think it's important. Anytime there is an action, you should have an after action to figure out what went wrong. I would say what went wrong is those two girls rushed into that grocery store after those gyrators killed that bear. But that's just me.
Yeah, you're smart. But it's interesting to show this evolution of the infected, and it's fun as a show watcher too, to be able to see it's not just like these mindless guys are going to run at you. Like there's different versions of them, and we saw it a little bit, I think, in the first season with like those bloaters, those super big dudes. So it's fun to get more of the infected because it's obviously based off video game. Video game's going to have a variety of characters for you to destroy. But they get this weird line from this one lady in the council where she's like, "Reality is nothing but a collective hunch." I thought that was kind of an interesting line.
Yeah, it was so interesting that it left my brain and I didn't think about it because I thought it was crazy. Also, the mayor is like, I've got a like premonition that something bad is coming. And they don't explore it. They're just like, hey, it's New Year's dance time. Tommy's like, I'm going to go get drunk, you know? What I did not appreciate is they do have this kind of Ellie run through line where she's like, I'm just as good as anyone. I'm just as good as Joel. I'm just as good as you, Uncle Tommy. And it was like, I don't know. Like, I got it. You can take care of yourself. You're immune. That's great. But there's like this constant, and maybe it's just because I'm too old and I'm like the guy that shouts at the neighbor kids that are too loud. But I don't know. I once again, this was part of Ellie's character that I'd just be like, Ellie, just dial it back. You know, you're going to get out of this tribunal unscathed and go to the dance. But first you're going to have to go to the bathroom to stab yourself in the stomach in order to... I'm assuming she's trying to make this not look like a bite. Is that what she's trying to do?
Yeah, I think so. They kind of show her arm here too because she has like a tattoo that's covering her bite mark that was on her arm that we had in the first season. I think... They make mention of the video game, and maybe they'll show it here, but I think she kind of gives like a chemical burn on the bite for her arm to be able to kind of hide it. So sure. I think just the same kind of thing.
She should have gotten a tattoo of a skull or a face, and then the bite mark should have been the mouth, and you'd just be like, oh, it's my tattoo of a face. Yeah. And it would be like Nirvana, that guy that sang for them. Because I think there's a Nirvana song in this, and that brings
there's posters. I think even in her room or whatever, there's Nirvana posters.
Kurt Cobain
I do want to say though...
Name. Yeah. I don't want letters. His name is Kurt Cobain.
Before we jump on that, I just want to kind of comment on your bits about Ellie, because I think throughout this whole episode, I feel like she just constantly feels patronized, right? Like where she's at the fight club and they're holding her punches, or Dina's saying like, oh, what are you going to do? Or when he's talking to Dina, she's like, oh, you want to let the men handle it? And even when she's with the council, like, you know, you're yelling at us for clearing this house, but like, what if Tommy and Joel were here? You know, you guys would have cleared the house too. So I think there's like multiple areas here where she's kind of feeling this bit of a double standard here from her perspective.
Sure. But she's 19 and she's acting like Ellie. So I think there's a little bit of precedent to be like, hey, you remember when you saw that bear that had been in my gyrators? You know, maybe we like calm that a little bit. And and then Tommy's like, gyrators? Speaking of gyrators, it's New Year's Eve. Let's go dancing. Is the significance of the guitar, did that belong to someone?
I'm assuming we'll get some flashbacks because essentially it's like Joel teaching Ellie how to learn the guitar. And I think it's kind of like at least right now, it's analogous of the state of their relationship where, you know, he taught her how to play the guitar and she's not treating the guitar with any respect. It's just sitting in a pile of clothes, clearly dusty. It needs new strings. So he's kind of taking this pretty harshly and thinks like, okay, let me change the strings. Let me see if I can fix this for her.
I don't remember what Joel's significant other's name was from season 1, but for some reason I thought maybe it was her guitar, but I guess it was not. I hope that there is like a bottle episode of Joel like picking the guitar expertly and being really good and then handing it to Ellie and being like, now you do it, and her not being able to do it and him just screaming at her as to why she can't play the guitar better and that she'll never amount to Nirvana. That would actually make more sense to Ellie's character if she just got yelled at by Joel for not being good at guitar. But
I think we get it in the first season where Joel, like, he makes mention like he used to be a singer or something like that, but when Ellie asked him to sing, he's like, I'm not going to sing for you or whatever. So I think they had a little bit of through line of him singing, maybe not necessarily the guitar, I can't recall for sure, but it does have some life from the first season.
Sure, he doesn't take off the helmet and he doesn't sing for people at parties. I gotcha. Speaking of parties, it's New Year's Eve and there is everyone at a shindig. Dina's going hard. I'll just say that. She's going real hard at this party.
She's the life of the party. And it was fun to have both Jesse and Ellie just kind of watching her and kind of like making their comments from both of their perspective, because they obviously both have feelings for her. I do want to call out, there is one little quick cameo here while like the band is playing for this New Year's Eve party. One of the dudes playing the banjo is actually the composer for both the video game and the show. I'll butcher his last name. His name is Gustavo Santaolalla. So it's kind of fun to see him make a quick little cameo.
So does this game purposely have like a Western feel to it? And I bring that up because like the theme music, the banjo, the like soulful guitar, and then all of the horses. We're in Jackson, Wyoming. Like I know this isn't a Taylor Sheridan Yellowstone production, but does the game itself like lend almost to like a Red Dead Redemption? Tom, that's me making a video game reference.
Look at you. Good for you.
Another. Since I've played neither, like, does it have that feel? Do you get that? Because that's certainly how the show feels to me.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like specific to that, but obviously like the storyline or the mission of you kind of taking somebody from one place to another and
on a horse,
like it being exactly on a horse. Like I feel like there's some like classic like Jeff Bridges westerns and stuff where he's kind of doing something similar.
Sure.
So I'm sure it's got some soul and vein to those, but I think it just makes for really good dramatic music when it's done well, like it is in the show.
Sure. In that same vein, Tom, were you bothered that they were not square dancing at this party? That they were doing some sort of weird modern dance like they do in A Knight's Tale, you know?
Missed opportunity, I agree.
Sure.
I will say, too, though, like this scene is like shot for shot from the game. Like the way the lighting is, the way like the dance sequence, even a lot of the lines delivered back and forth between Dina and Ellie, identical.
Now, if I had to guess, this is not a cutscene in the game. This is you have to hit X and triangle in order to hit the right steps. This is a Dance Dance Revolution section of the game. The game creator, is it Craig Mazin is the game creator? Is
Neil Druckmann.
Okay.
Neil Druckmann made the game. Yeah, Craig Mazin's the showrunner for the
so
series.
he like was in the middle of making this game. He went to a Chuck E. Cheese and saw Dance Dance Revolution. And was like, I've got a perfect moment in The Last of Us 2 where we can do. And they're like, sir, Dance Dance Revolution is 20 years old. And he's like, no, I've got a perfect moment. And if you hit all the combination right, Ellie and Dina kiss. And that causes some people to be upset because, Tom, this is a family event. I didn't need this guy to be like, this is a church. I was like, all right, show, I got it. You don't like religious people. I understand. Also, I think this community would be a little bit more progressive. When does this show take place? Like, are we not in modern times?
Listen, we talked about this in season 1. This is communism, right? And communism isn't always great.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, comrade. Fine. I see what you're putting down. Yeah, that's Tom. Good. Let's Joe McCarthy this. It is communism and it's bad, and let's put people on a blacklist. This leads to that gentleman who plays the like old white bigot at the dance plays that in other things. He does a great job. They're just like, hey, we need a casting call for a guy that's going to be despicable. And he's just like there. He's like, sorry, I saw the bat signal. I'm here. Or the racist man signal, I guess. Not racism, sexism, or whatever it is, bigotry. All those things, Tom, wrapped into one tight package. That actor. Joel pushes him down. And Ellie dials it to 11 to yell at Joel, who really did nothing wrong but protect her. And I'm not saying he's right and that she's right. As a pacifist, I think they all should have just hugged, you know?
Well, Ellie and Dina did. I mean,
they hugged too hard inside that church, Tom. Once again, leave room for the Holy Spirit, as we like to say. Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, poor Joel here. He can't win, right? He's doing everything he can to try to put himself in the good graces with Ellie. And whether it's a 19-year-old girl or whether it's this lie that's still lingering over their relationship, we don't know what. But not only being humiliated here, but really in front of this whole town. Ellie's kind of putting him on the spot. It's pretty rough.
Sure. I would say for a New Year's Eve dance in a place that doesn't have a lot going on, there's conservatively 20 people in this barn, so I don't know that it's everyone. How many people, do we know how many people are in Jackson, Wyoming in this compound, Tom? If you were to guess, have we done a census?
I haven't done a census, no.
How do we know
so?
what TV they're watching, Tom, if we haven't done a census? How do we know?
What are those Nielsen ratings?
Yeah, exactly, Tom. Thank you. All right. Ellie leaves. Joel sadly plays guitar on that beautiful wraparound porch. I gotta be honest, if I knew how to play guitar and I had a wraparound porch and it was snowing, I would not go to the dance. I would just sadly play guitar.
Well, and again, this is Joel, like, being this father figure. Like, he's not just sitting out there playing the guitar. He's sitting out there waiting for Ellie to get home and make sure she gets home safely, right? Like, he's still being a dad even in these moments.
Oh, okay. I thought the acoustics was better on the porch, and that's why he was out there after he changed those strings. We get a quick cut of, which we didn't spend a lot of time on, but those clay water main that the taxpayers paid for, Tom. The roots are alive. And when we first saw this, I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure roots are bad. Don't we want to, like, get on top of this? So do the infected roots, are they not normal roots, Tom? As the horticulturist of this podcast, please explain to me what roots are and how they make trees alive, because I've killed a lot of trees recently.
I think it's a callback to, I mean, it's not the roots that are alive. I think essentially what we're seeing is like the fungus is coming through the roots and kind of reaching out, which is what we saw with the stalker in the grocery store kind of attacking Ellie. And we got exposition in the first season talking about like the hive mind of these cordyceps viruses, or not virus, but fungi, and how like it can like essentially sense, not necessarily danger, but like it can sense things from miles away. So I think the idea here is this very irresponsible sparkler handler just throws it on the ground right next to this. I thought it was going to start a fire. That was my first thought.
Sure.
But the idea is like, okay, this hive mind fungi is sensing something at this place, and we might get a showdown here in Jackson.
Sure. Tom, let's talk about the sparkler budget of this post-apocalyptic town. Let's talk about the Chuck Taylor budget of this she's like, I traded some boots for this sweet rifle harness, and now I'm wearing Chuck Taylors. Like, I want to understand what the manufacturing is. We got water mains full of roots, and yet we have sparklers galore. I don't know.
That's a fair point.
We live in a state that doesn't allow anything that lights anything on fire, because then the state's on fire. I don't know, Tom. I'm confused.
Listen, sparklers are fun, but this was very irresponsible just to be chucking your sparkler on the ground.
Exactly. And speaking of sparklers, the fireflies, Tom, are on the mountain looking down at the town. And I believe her name is Abby, is like, that town's full of sparklers. And the guy that kind of likes her is like, yeah, we're the fireflies. And she's like, shut up, Jim. I'm looking at the town. I want my revenge. So these guys have been searching for Joel for 5 years. All they have on him is his first name, a scar on his right temple, and that he's roughly 50. And that's led them. Because it didn't, well, first off, Abby has aged brilliantly in 5 years. Because the scene where they're burying the other fireflies, that was 5 years earlier. Correct, Tom?
Correct. So there's a little bit of back and forth dialogue here with Owen, I think is the other person going back and forth with Abby. They make mention of like going to join this other group in Seattle, led by Isaac, a guy named Isaac. Isaac is, if you've seen the casting calls, he is played by Jeffrey Wright.
Ooh, I love Jeffrey Wright. Yeah.
He's fantastic. And he actually did the voice acting for Isaac in the video game. So he's one of, I think, 2 characters that's actually reprised his role as the voice actor from the game. So I think the idea here is, and they haven't said it, but I don't think it's like spoilery, but I think the idea is like this group went to Seattle, more or less maybe geared up, figured out what was kind of going on there, and now we're coming back to kind of hunt Joel.
Got it. Now, Jeffrey Wright plays Felix Leiter from the Bond series in this show, I'm hoping, right? He's CIA, please.
Oh, man. Please, it's possible. I don't know. CIA have a headquarters in Seattle?
I love it. We've got a Schitt's Creek, 007, The Last of Us crossover episode, all coming on CBS after NCIS, Los Alamos. I don't know. Tom, Owen realizes that Abby doesn't love him, right? Because Owen's got eyes for Abby, and Abby only loves revenge and killing people slowly. Owen realizes that, right? He knows he's in the, like, apocalyptic friend zone, and that Abby's only eyes are for Joel's cold dead body, which she stabs several times, right?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
Way to hedge.
On what's going to happen in this relationship.
I don't really like when you know the future and I don't. It kind of makes me sick to my stomach. You're like the Owen to my Abby, Tom. You know, I've only got eyes for the future and Joel's, I'm assuming, inevitable death. And you just love Abby, which is me. So that doesn't make any sense. Anyways.
Listen, all you have to do is play like 27 hours worth of a video game and you would know everything that's going to happen.
Tom, I'm assuming you played this video game before you became a father. Because if you played this game after you became a father, sir, I've got questions for you as to who you are as a parent. You're playing now. Well, your kid's almost graduated, you know, elementary school. Yeah, kindergarten. He doesn't need you much anymore at this point. Yeah.
It's funny because, like, I realized going in, like, I replayed the first game when we were watching the first season because I knew it was a relatively quicker game, and I'm not going in running and trying to find all the collectibles. I'm just going through the story. And I'm kind of doing the same thing with this one. I played like 2 hours in and realized, I can kind of put on cheat codes, which give me unlimited ammo and make my weapon stronger, and I've got all the upgrades still.
I didn't know
so, like, that's essentially what I'm doing.
Existed. That's incredible.
Yeah. So it's kind of nice where I still get to experience the main story, a lot of the cutscenes, which obviously drives so much of the drama and everything in the series without wasting another, I wouldn't say wasting, but putting another 27 hours of my life into it. So
sure.
I'm hoping this will take 10.
You say putting into, I say wasting. Your kid says cat's in the cradle. Dad, where are you at? I would have liked it more if you had been like, well, him and I trade off lives. So my 5-year-old plays for a little while, then I play, and it's one of the most violent video games in the history of the world. But
it's pretty brutal.
Anyways, I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed talking it through with you. Thank you for the insight, being a gamer and me being a simple layman that loves an HBO Sunday night show. We will be back for episode 2. Tom, there's not much to do in terms of predictions, so all I will say to our audience is if you have followed us through other shows, we'll continue with this one. You can reach us at teambingepodcast@gmail.com. Tom handles our other socials because I'm not allowed to. Court order, not Tom's order. At this point, it's official. There's a court order. We have a store at TeePublic, which sells things. And Tom, what did I forget?
Yeah, as Julian mentioned, join us on the socials. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Binge, not Binge, Threads.
Binge is a social media platform that Tom and I are launching.
To compete with Blue Sky and
Twitter. It's mainly about drinking and what you're binge drinking. There's no TV dialogue allowed. That's the thing we block.
Smart. But at Team Binge or at Team Binge Podcast, let us know what you think of the show. Obviously, if you have thoughts about what's going on in the show, we would argue don't let us know because this has obviously been a video game. It's been out for a handful of years, so we don't need any kind of spoiler content. If you enjoy our content, we just recently did Severance with Season 2, which was a lot of fun. So go check out some of our other back catalog. And if you like what we're doing, we really appreciate it to help grow the show. Go on like Apple Podcasts and rate our show. Throw us 5 stars, give us a quick review. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us for Team Binge. I have been normal every day, living my life in Casper, Wyoming, Julian.
And I have been pacifist Tom. Till next week, everybody.